So let's get the speakers really quickly on stage so that we can get the session started finally. I'm going to invite our session moderator. We have with us Sakshi Goel, who's the Associate Executive Director and Head Retail North and West India, CBRE. Warm welcome to you, Sakshi. I'd like to further invite our speakers. We have with us Sahil Malik, CEO, Damilano. If I could please invite Sahil Malik to please come on stage. Our next speaker, we have Mr. Amit Garg from Cinepolis, India. I'd like to invite Dhruv Bogra, Country Manager, India, Southeast Asia, Forever New. Lalit Agarwal, Chairman, V-Mart. Akhil Jain, Director, Jain Amar, Madam. Rajesh Jain, Managing Director and CEO, Lacoste. And Bipul Chandra, Managing Director, Ducati, India. Let's have you take your seats, and I'm going to quickly hand it over to Sakshi. Over to you then.
Hi, everybody. Can we have your attention, please? So I'm here welcoming an esteemed panel of retailers today to discuss, the spirit of retail in 2023. When we were having our conversation a little early on, I was talking about how, we perceive retail currently with so much happening in this space. We have Dior, who did a show at the Gateway of India. We've got Apple launching their first 2 country-owned stores. We also, there's the NAMAC, which opened, which kind of redefines how entertainment's getting blended into the retail space. So obviously, we know 2022, the bounce back post-pandemic was fantastic. Let's hear from the stalwarts what they have to say about their learnings and how they're preparing for the year ahead. So, Lalitji, going straight to you, obviously you're somebody who's been at the helm of everything with your tier 2, tier 3 penetration, the entire reverse migration that happened. So, your thoughts on how the year has been so far and how you learned from 2022 and what are the changes that we are seeing?
So good afternoon, everyone. This is definitely I was just on CNBC in the morning and I was just telling them it was a roller coaster ride and it continues being a roller coaster ride. And so that's what the environment is. You see some highs and suddenly you see some lows as well. For us at the, if we divide the India into 2 parts, I call it a K graph or I call it India and a Bharat. And that's how I call it. So at the India level, we have heard a lot of stories. We have seen the malls being full, the airports being choco-boco, and the tourist locations are all filled, and hotels are not available, and most of the cinema halls have been, we're doing good. So, so that's a part of India which has been earning and has been doing very good. And, but the other part of Bharat, which is the lower part of the customer segment, I think for them, COVID did bring in an impact, both from a perspective of a loss in the income level, because they have an income which they want every month, and their expenses are very much dependent on those income. They don't have too much of savings. So that is why for them, a cumulative loss of more than 6 to 8 months in a period of 1.5 years was there, and which really dented them, both from the confidence perspective as well as the financial perspective. And with the financial perspective, definitely, apart from what happened was the reverse migration of the labor which happened, and wherein the people came back to villages, they didn't go back very fast to their factories and to their workplaces, and which continued for another 6-7 months. During those periods, I think at the Bharat level, we saw a quite stable comeback of COVID, pre-COVID kind of sales. But post that, I think when they were finished with the money, when they did had too much of cash with in the reserve, so they went back to the towns, they went back to the cities, they went back starting to work. So I think that is where, once again, the inflation came in. The Russia-Ukraine war came in, and it was a high inflationary pressure, which also made life very, very difficult for that common man, where 60% of their basket or their income was being consumed in a staple. So the basic raw need of the family. And that is where I think those consumers faced a little trouble. Slowly and gradually, I think that's coming up. People are forgetting not that inflation is too down, It is definitely down from the peak levels, but it is still up by 40%, 30% from those pre-pandemic times of those products. Even we speak about our apparel, textile, the cotton yarns and stuff, everything is up by 30, 35%, 40%. So I think there is a pressure, but I am seeing the confidence coming back. I am seeing that confidence coming back, and that should help the lower part of the strata, which forms in quantity 70% of the population. So I think that's the 70% quantitative population, but at the value level of retail, it may be contributing maybe 50% or 55%. Plus, apart from that, I think in the value retail, which we belong to, in the value fashion retail, there has been a lot of density or denser players who are getting into, and there's a lot of stuff that we are seeing happening in terms of more competitors walking in, more stores getting opened up, and also there is a lot of inroad by the online commerce. And all of those have really brought in a behavioral change to the consumer, as well as change in the way consumer has to shop and from where they need to shop. So there is a lot of things that a retailer at this level has to look up, and they have to be very, very perfect, very, very efficient in terms, so that you are able to pass on the next 6 more months where you would have those pressure time. And then I think India definitely has a very, very good story. Bharat has a great story, and we can really see a lot of consumption coming in the coming times. And that's what we aim for, and our government definitely is working towards that.
No, thank you for sharing that. I think definitely we are hoping that this value segment, which is really fueling retail today, continues to grow, and obviously with you pioneering it. Akhil, your thoughts on, diving a little bit further into this. Your thoughts on, this entire part of penetration, what you feel happened last year?
See, for the segment, probably a semi-premium or in India's, so on the global context, a brand like me is a very affordable brand. But on the Indian context, we are called semi-premium. And somehow the India's luxury quotient for a change is, going upwards, taking an upward direction. And for people like us, probably for Dhruv, the market is now further expanding because again, part of reverse migration, the people who've been living in metros, and as Lale said, they're going back to their, tier 2 or tier 3 towns, and they're still aspiring for the similar kind of experiences over there. So for us, for example, opening tier 2 markets have been really big. Of the last 22 stores we opened, I think more than 17 stores was not in metros, but in tier 2 markets, which are actually giving us a TD of more than 1,500, and which is really, really amazing.
So is that a strategy that you're going forward with? Does that remain a concentration point? Or is it like a balance?
No, it's a combination. It's a combination. Obviously, out of the projection that you made, it's a combination, where you want to get aggressive and which is the easy market for you to enter. Because, the times are still unpredictable. We cannot still see a very clear path. Though, as Lalaji mentioned, there's been ups and downs, and this roller coaster is going on. Diwali tanked, for example, for brands like us. January was fantastic. February again tanked. So it's always like that. So you're just trying to, at brands, we're all trying to get the easiest pie first.
Sure. And just to talk a little bit more about consumer experience, like you said, you're doing larger stores in tier 2 cities. Is that something which is specific to tier 2 cities based on the real estate costs or the availability, etc., or there are any other differentiators that you're building in your stores in these particular cities? Because the consumers in these cities are not as aware as, say, the larger city consumers.
I'll tell you, in India, the quality real estate is still a challenge. You don't actually, get to choose the right thing you want, neither with the developers and nor with the high street places. So it is, it's again a combination. You have an aspiration that, okay, I want to open a 120-meter store. And okay, so you settle with, in India, we settle with about 25% plus minus. So, this is the India story, and obviously we are just going by that only. If I'm looking, say, up 5-10% is fine, but at 25%, I want to open a 1,000-feet store and I have to settle with a 1,400-feet store. That actually hits the trading density a lot. But then again, because India has a growth story, as brands, we are growing, we are expanding. So still we are taking those calls and taking those, attempts, and deliverance happening on the part of product and consumer experience.
Sure. Rajesh ji, on consumer experience, we were earlier chatting about this today. Obviously, post-pandemic, this is one category which has been in focus, like semi-formals, athleisure. I think more and more people are working in that way. So I think your thoughts on, what you've done towards enhancing the consumer experience, bringing more people into the stores, that could be something that we could, kind of talk about a little bit more.
Thank you, Sakshi. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I think to answer your question, Sakshi, I would like to take a cue from the immediately preceding session where Pushpa's last question was about the future, 5 years from now, what will happen in retail. We all know that retail industry is changing very fast. To keep pace with that, we all are changing accordingly, and because of that, there is a curiosity amongst all the retailers that what is the future? In my view, I feel the things are changing so fast, whether it is technological or the consumer behavior and everything, that whatever we predict today, perhaps will become irrelevant 5 years from now. We wouldn't even know that what is going to happen in 5 years. We just think that we are predicting it right. Now, having said that, to answer your question, I would like to take what is happening today and in the immediate future, what is likely to happen in terms of consumer experience. And I feel that there are three very important factors. We can call them 3 C's, which are collection, convenience, and care. When I talk about collection, the collection of your products, it has to be in sync with the positioning of your brand, the quality, the pricing, the presence. All those need to be in sync with your brand positioning, and that's where the collection matters a lot, because the consumer end of the day comes to buy your collection, comes to buy your product. Second is convenience. When I look at convenience from consumer's perspective, today's consumer wants anything, anytime, anywhere. It's very simple from their perspective. However, if you look at it from retailer's perspective, there are several things that we retailers have to do. First of all, we have to be multi-channel. We have to be online as well as offline. We have to omnify that. We have to see the operations are right. We have to see that if it is an online experience, the UI and the UX have to be very good. If we see the offline experience, the visual merchandising, the customer service have to be par excellence. Then to support these things, you also have to have a customer loyalty programs. You have to have the entire paraphernalia to support that. However, what really comes out winning is that you have to be multi-channel and you have to omnify it. To give you an example, just a few years ago, we used to debate about online or offline. Then it got converted into online and offline, and we started talking about coexistence of these two channels. However, today, I would say that we are not talking about coexistence anymore. It's codependence. If a customer is coming to my mall to buy something, there's a great possibility that the customer would have seen it online, or vice versa. They would have seen it offline and would end up buying online. So to provide that convenience to the customer is extremely important from today's perspective, from the consumer experience perspective, which has actually gone several notches higher, especially post-pandemic. And the third part, which I feel is extremely important, is care. And when I talk about care, from retailers' perspective, I think this should be non-negotiable to take care of the environment. If I take example of our brand, we are very committed towards ESG. We have defined timelines and defined targets to reduce our carbon footprint across the world, and to also go in such a manner that is visible to the customer, to the outside world, so that all of us take inspiration from that and the consumers also take inspiration. And it's not only limited to our organization or our point of sales. We extend that care to our suppliers also. They also need to ensure that they're socially compliant, they take care of the environment in similar manner in which we as brand are taking. From the consumer perspective also, and I'll end my discussion with that thing, from the consumer's perspective also, we see a great sea change in consumers' behavior. Now the consumers come to us and they ask questions, relevant questions, that how this product was made, where it is coming from, whether it is environmental, sustainable or no. So these three things, I would say, collection, convenience, and care are extremely important to provide the right kind of customer experience today and to bring the customer again and again back to your stores.
Well, thank you for sharing those insights. I really think very, very key points. I definitely think sustainable, both in terms of product and fit outs. A lot of stores are building stores which are very, very eco-sustainable. And, it's fantastic to see the amount of thought that's going into building the infrastructure or the environment for the consumers to come in. On the same point, Amit, coming to you on care and convenience. The multiplex business post-pandemic, or the entertainment business for that matter, went through its own learning curve. Real estate was extremely expensive. I think for cinema players, the most highest paid in the anchor category, occupancies were at an all-time low. What is it that we've seen last year and how is it panning out? What is it that we're seeing in future? How are we being forward-looking towards that?
Yeah, good afternoon, everyone. So, we all agree that this cinema space was the most affected space during the pandemic because this was the first one which government shut down, and this was the last one which government allowed to reopen. So just to tell you all, till last March, we were shut in some of the territories in India. So the revenues were really, zero, and we have never seen such kind of, in the history, because we are into this business since last 50 years, and we have never seen that globally we are having zero revenue in our books. So we have to take very, lot of unpopular measures to keep ourselves, to survive ourselves. And once we opened last year, in March, April, May, June, we saw good content, and maybe it was a pent-up demand, and we thought, yes, the industry is back with the bang. We saw that Public Limited Company published best ever results in the history of cinema, Indian cinema industry. And, but after that, after July onwards, we have been seeing a lackluster performance or below average performance of the cinema. When I say below average, I compare it with the performance of 2019. So our thought process was, okay, 2022, we are still affected with the COVID, but 2023 would be a recovery period for us. And then the 2023 hasn't, it hasn't started on a very well note. So in future, what we are looking at, earlier our focus was to do megaplexes. We were doing 11 screens, 14 screens, 15 screens. We operate the largest cinema in India in Pune. So our focus is to have the right size for that development. So we have seen, some of the development are cinema-centric. 1 lakh square feet of development having 60, 70,000 of the square feet of the cinema, it would not survive because there is no ecosystem, there is no synergy, there are no other brands, for people would come over there. So we are right-sizing in that manner. We are focusing on the grade A malls. We are avoiding where, the developer is selling the space to who is doing the strata sale, who is selling their space to the investor. We are avoiding those kind of shopping centers because initially 2 or 3 years they do well, but in the long term, they don't. They don't perform. We have seen this in our current portfolio. And also, when we talk about the real estate cost, few of my real estate friends sitting here may not like it, but cinema, pre-COVID, we have paid highest rent in terms of the anchor tenant. Sitting on the last floor of the mall, we have paid more than the ground floor. Doesn't make sense. During current period, it doesn't make sense, and it has to correct. And I think the industry would take that kind of term because these are the fundamental changes that has to happen in the industry.
So, how do you think we're bringing people back to the cinema?
So yes, I mean, the content is one thing that, I mean, right now what has happened, so we have tentpole movies. Like tentpole movies are still performing, like we saw Pathan outperformed the industry. But still, I tell you, in terms of revenue, yes, but in terms of the most watched movies still remain Dangal. I mean, that was when we sell more number of tickets than Pathan. So one is the content. I mean, right now we see there is hardly any content which is coming up. This is because of during COVID period, the production activities has stalled, and now the production houses are coming back and they are producing the movie. Second thing, what we see, the OTT platform, they are having very good quality content, which is basically satiating the consumer demand. They are hiring good people, they are producing very good content. And what we see, I mean, the new content on the cinema exhibition, there would be change in the content. There would be change in the storyline, and it would be, it would be appealing to the younger. I mean, right now what we see, I mean, the same storyline is coming, which was in early 2000 or early 2010s. Now we will see a completely different storyline in the content coming in. Yes, I mean, then there are other measures that we are taking, focusing on the F&B. I mean, we are converting more into a restaurant, adding on our F&B menus, and some of the operators I have seen converting their cinema into the sports arena. I mean, because of the heights, they do wall bouldering in the cinema to bring back the consumer. But I see, I mean, the main is the movie exhibition. And people come for the experience of the cinema, in the cinema. And I mean, I was talking with all the panelists about the change in behavior. I mean, no one has agreed that they have restored to the early pre-COVID habit of moving going. When we used to go movie after every couple of weeks, now no one is going. And I'm yet to meet a person who says that his pre-COVID movie watching habit has restored. I mean, so yes, I mean, the consumer behavior has changed. And yes, I mean, the content is one thing that will drive the cinema business.
Thank you, Amit. And we're wishing you the best, that people start going back to watch movies every week.
Thank you, Sakshi.
Including me. I do go back once a month, but yeah, my behavior is not the same as it was earlier. Sahil, moving on to you, just on the entire change in the consumer behavior bit. You run stores, you're one of the celebrated retailers who's actually moved from India globally. So do you see this consumer behavior change as you move into different geographies? And how is it that you're adapting to the change in geography from a brand perspective? And similarly, like, what have your learnings been from the last year?
So last 24 months have been full of opportunities, I would say, as well as challenges, but more opportunities, I would look at it. There's been a lot of change in the consumer pattern, thought process, buying, and so we have been very closely attached, connected to the ground. So from myself, I've been monitoring, watching what is the consumer's behavior, what kind of products is the shift happening to, small size bag, big bags, or and so we have been very flexible, understanding consumer needs and adapting to those changes. India has, despite of, we've been in lockdown in those particular months, but after that, that demand really came very strongly. And though we are a privately held company, so always cash flows are always a point of discussion, and we don't have any lending or anything. It's a completely self-funded organization. And so we feel we could, and our brand loyalty really helped us to pass through this whole wave, and the confidence with the customers, which led us to, and then the demand came so strongly that we couldn't even imagine and anticipate this So we were short on stocks, we were on supplies, we managed it, and so that has been a great, we've delivered some highest growths ever in last 12 months. And thanks to, so the whole ecosystem was from the retailers and the developers, they all wanted to, they were all trying a lot of working on a lot of areas to bring back the consumer. So everybody's efforts, I think we could all sail the wave very well. Coming to the international geographies, of course, as I said, it's a time for opportunities. We got one of the best location in Dubai Mall. And today, there's definitely no regret because it's one of the most, and during that time, the previous retailer was moving out, and then we could get that store, and we could similarly get similar locations in UK on Oxford Street, and so that's where it's been an opportunity, I would say, in a big way.
Thank you. Moving on to Dhruv, we were talking about this, that the last year was a year of tremendous growth. So means, and obviously it's a category where ecosystem matters, the right environment matters. I've been closely associated with the brand myself, both as, somebody who's worn the brand as a consumer. How do you see the new India, adapting to a brand like Forever, where there's such a big gap in that space which Forever currently fills? Are you seeing that the consumer experience is going to be the growth driver, or new territories, or the right locations, or is it a mix of a couple of these things for you?
Okay, so hi, good afternoon, everyone. I think there are many things that play when you're trying to grow a brand. And over 2019, we grew our top line and bottom line by 300%. But that didn't happen by fluke or chance. I think it was a people story, a product story, a strategy story. And all three things have to actually come together. Like a orchestra or a choir, somebody's out of sync is not going to happen. The performance will flop. So in our case, I would really start with people first because they are the harbingers of change. They are the ones who provide that experience. We are a very experience-driven brand. I mean, we serve 1% of India's affluent population. I mean, from the way we are positioned, the way we are priced. So we are at the top end, based to luxury, and I think sometimes even kissing luxury in some couple of products from an Indian perspective. So our experience delivery has to be top notch, and therefore the staff have to be trained accordingly. They have to be motivated, kept happy, and also engaged. So we spend a lot of time doing that. In terms of the collection, it has to be the best in the world. Whatever is available in Australia, the UK, or South Africa, or Canada, some of our key markets, is available in India. Of course, no one can ever say that I went to a Melbourne store and I did not find that product here. I think we take the best of the best and we ensure that we have the right collections. We also keep sort of adding on for India. I mean, our Petite collection used to be just 10-12% of our total portfolio. Now it is 22-23%. So we respect the fact that women are different everywhere, and therefore we need to curate our product accordingly. Similarly, we see premium handbags as a very big opportunity, and which is a natural extension for a brand like ours. So a quarter back we launched premium handbags, and we only intend to grow that market. So there are many things at play, but from an experience point of view, I would say that one of the biggest, I think, turning points for us was Omni, which allowed the consumer to tap into product anywhere in the system, which we started 3 years back, and is doing very well. It contributes to 40% of our total online sales from a fulfillment point of view. And the second thing is, it's around the experience of being able to go a consumer's home, open up the shop in her living room, and make a big sale and come back. So we did that a lot during the pandemic. We made videos around safety and all that. But we continued with that, and today, home shopping, what we call it very simplistically, we purposely never branded it. We said it's home shopping, keep it simple for the consumer to understand also. Treat true to how TV channels sell it. that still contributes to 15, 16% of our business in the top stores. And the girls are really great at the stores. They do virtual shopping, so the consumers don't want to come because of whatever. Even nowadays, the COVID scare has started again. So they're saying, ma'am, they take her through, you know, regular style without any too much of tech through a WhatsApp call. And we do these things which are very relationship driven. And that really works well for us. Of course, there's a lot of other tech projects which are going on, which is using algorithms, artificial intelligence, segmenting, cohort analysis. There's a lot of work in the background that's going on, especially with our loyalty program, and we only intend to grow that. But at the heart of everything is the consumer. And she's the one who we will obviously have to continue to pamper, to serve, and to delight. And of course, then there is a new emerging consumer, the Gen Z consumer, who thinks differently, spends differently, her value systems are different. So we've been on this long, sustainable journey for the last few years. We never talked about it, but now we do. We run many campaigns, such as buy a dress, we plant a tree for you, kind of a thing. So we do that quite often, on and off, but we keep doing it. So those are to kind of link up to the younger generation and also project ourselves as a really conscious brand. Today, 90% of our products are conscious certified in Australia and in India. So we are quite pretty much on that journey, deep into that journey as well. So I would say the future is really good. And what we really need to do is, as a brand, start talking to multi-generational consumers more effectively, which is why we have Pooja Hegde as a brand ambassador, so that she can bridge that gap. And secondly, continue to offer products at a price and value that youngsters feel that they can afford and have a good time in.
No, I think extremely valuable. I think some of the things that you said really resonate, because I think flexibility in today's era, offering consumers home service, WhatsApp shopping, all of these things are only things here to stay, because now even something like a Bistro Village in Spain offers you virtual shopping sitting in India. So for us, sitting in India, we have to offer our consumers that, and especially if they're loyal consumers. And I just feel omni-channel's also expanded. It's not only just online and...
I mean, omni-channel has enabled us to be available with sizes, which is a typical thing that consumers complain about, with options available. And now we are giving tablets in the stores to smaller stores, which are 700, 800 square feet stores, say Siliguri or a Guwahati, who don't have the whole collection. And we're training a staff to actually make that omni sale from the tablet and get it delivered home. So we even have people, we have a guy in Siliguri, so we have these consumers in Gangtok, okay, and they love the brand. So they call up the store manager and say, can you send me this dress that I saw? He says, okay, the next bus, we have a guy specially hired for that. He takes a parcel from Siliguri to Gangtok, delivers it, comes back. So along with tech, you got to bring the human element into life, I think that's what consumers, especially Indians, relate to.
Because I think omni-channel sometimes becomes very cold, but the human element is what people really look for when they want to shop. Yeah. In spite of the fact that you know your size, that reaffirmation that this will fit you okay, always definitely helps.
Yeah. I'm a great believer in tech, okay, but I feel we shouldn't let tech rule our lives or our experiences or dictate it. There has to be a person-to-person contact in our business. I mean, different for every category, but in our category, that bond is very, very crucial, actually.
Thank you. So going on to you, we were talking about luxury. We were talking about, how the market's played out in the last 2 to 3 years. I think it's been the best time for that category. We've seen unprecedented growth. There were times that there were queues at Emporio. Even now, while we're talking, JWP is on the verge of launch in Mumbai. So, your thoughts on why and how and what you feel will happen in the next 1 year in this particular segment. And, what Ducati's story has been for the last few years here.
Good afternoon, everyone. As Italians love to say, ciao tutti. Now, talking of luxury, Ducati is definitely on the forefront of luxury, and there is a slight change when we talk of India and the world over. So world over, we are more of the high-end premium. But in India, we are already luxury, which actually we don't want to be. Because luxury as a word has a very negative connotation in our country. However, uh, yes, you are correct. They love to enjoy the fruits of luxury, but they don't want to get associated with luxury. So that's a very serious concern. But however, last couple of years have been very, very good for the luxury automobiles per se, especially cars, I would say. In fact, the luxury two-wheelers is a very niche segment because the riders are pretty less. And the families who can afford luxury, even for their kids, they wish to go for a four-wheeler rather than a two-wheeler. Because in their view, two-wheelers are more riskier. Having said that, uh, when we are talking of the entire gamut of the panelists over here, everyone has spoken about something to do with experience. And probably this is something where Ducati has also done very, very well. In fact, for us, more than the stores now, the outside activities outside stores has become more important. Because unless you experience the bike in the right environment, you are not going to enjoy it. You cannot look at a static bike in the showroom and say, wow, this is something I want. You actually need to experience the bike in the right environment. And having said that, for a normal rider, for a mass market bike, a bike is a bike to take you from point A to point B. For us, it is not so. For us, it's a super bike. For it, it's a touring bike. For it's a hyper motard. For us, it's a classic bike. There are various kinds of bikes. So what we do, we take our riders for the experience in the right environment. For example, if it's a super bike, like we sell under the brand of Panigale, so that's meant for racetracks. Earlier, we used to go to Buddha Circuit in Greater Noida or to MMRT in Chennai. Now we have changed the game. Now we are taking our riders abroad. So last year, we had gone to the Chiang Circuit in Thailand. This year, we are going to Sepang in Malaysia. So I also have the good fortune to ride on a couple of MotoGP circuits. So I have already ridden on Chiang and Mugello in Italy. This year I hope to ride in Sepang at another MotoGP. Similarly, as we speak today, one of my customers' team is riding in the northern Thailand, a different kind of bike. About 15 days ago, another set of customers was in Arunachal Pradesh Northeast. Last year, we had gone to Spiti. So there are so many things regarding the experience of the bike. And that's what we are talking about. Having talked of the bike business, now there is another aspect of our business, which is very important to us, which fits me exactly to my co-panelist. As a Ducati brand, we sell t-shirts also. We sell jeans also. We sell shoes also. So whatever you can think of, we get it made from our vendors, obviously, and we sell it under Ducati brand. Like this shirt I'm wearing. This is a Ducati shirt. This is an employee shirt. You need to be a Ducati employee for this. But yes, similar shirts can be purchased from the stores as well. So this is where we see that whatever my panelists have spoken about, having stores, giving them the right kind of collection, having the right kind of care, as Jan Saab has said, I think that is a very, very important point. For example, you buy any t-shirt from Ducati, and like my bikes, we'll give you 2 years warranty on that t-shirt as well. Now that's kind of laughable kind of situation, a warranty on a t-shirt. But since we give a 2-year warranty on the bike, so we provide a 2-year warranty on the shoes, on the t-shirts, everything. That's kind of thing we are looking at. So in a nutshell, when we talk of the brand like Ducati, we are heavily investing into experience. Even the in-store experience. Now, having an automobile, a car showroom, let us say, having AC in a car showroom is something like a hygiene factor. Everyone expects. So our showrooms are having air conditioning, nothing different. We have gone one step ahead. We have put in air conditioners in our workshop also. So now you go to any of the newly opened Ducati workshops, whether in Delhi, Chandigarh, Pune, Ahmedabad, wherever, even the workshops are air conditioned. The rider, in fact, we have stopped calling our customers as customers because that has become too transactional. We talk of them as Ducatisti, the family members of Ducati. So we are going through a mindset change so that we are ready for the next set of riders coming to us. I think that's a very important change which is going through Ducati right now. So in fact, from the CEO level, if I write in my email customer, I get a rebuke from him. It's not a customer. He's a family member. Either he's a rider or he's a Ducatisti. So I think what we have been talking about luxury, taking the next step, the experience, how you treat your customers, or rather riders in our case, that has become very, very important, and probably the learnings I am getting here from the panel today, I'm sure I can use some of them. And that's the next step for us as well.
Thank you so much. I definitely like the fact that, a lot of us are focusing on building communities with our consumers, because I think that goes a long way in retention. Means how special they feel every time they transact with you. That's what keeps them coming back. So just to summarize the session, one trend to look out for in retail, one trend to look out for in retail as we go into the future with G20 India and all the hype around India, one trend to look out for.
No, I think one trend for me, I will speak once again about Bharat and or the larger part of the community. I think people are becoming trendier, and they are definitely very, very close to fashion, very, very close to designs, very, very close to knowing what do they want to become, or how do they want to look like. So they are much more aware consumer, much more selective consumer requirement. As Rajesh said about collection, I think it's very, very important. What are you? What is your brand? And how do you want to reflect upon and gain those consumers to your store who can actually create loyalty with your brand. And I think that trend is very, very, very much in. And apart from that, I think looking good, being in the social media, definitely is not a new story. But in the smaller town, with those smaller people who have a very, very little to earn or are living at a very, very small village, I think that's also a trend which is very much catching up. So that's something that we have to keep watching for, as you rightly said, under 25-year population and stuff. So I think those are the people that we need to watch out for.
Thank you. One quick word from everybody before we wrap the session. One trend to watch out for.
One thing which I understand is the customer loyalty, which every company takes so very seriously. Speaking for me as a customer here, I'm a big fan of Lacoste. My wife is a big fan of Forever New. In fact, we keep on finding opportunities to visit these stores, whether it's in the same Ambience Mall or in the Saket Mall. Probably even for the Saket Mall, I would say I have the phone numbers of the people also in my phone. I'm such a big fan. So this is from the customer side, but from the marketer's side, probably capitalizing on that loyal customer data to make him a very, very happy and repeat purchase customer is very important. Already we are taking we are making full utilization of the technology, but probably somewhere we should not overdo it. We should be in the Goldilocks zone, wherein the customer is not feeling bombarded by the data or the calls from the retailer, and he's also not feeling left out. No one is talking to me. It is about customer's ego as well. So we need to manage that.
Thank you.
Okay, so if we talk about the consumer trend, I would say the consumers are changing their thought process, and now everybody wants to look and feel good. That trend, I would set another trend where modern retail will continue to grow very fast. The brands will become more relevant here. Another trend that I think we all know in our personal life also, which COVID has actually worked as a reminder for all of us, is that life comes in phases. So when we saw COVID, everything was down, but immediately after that, I think all of us, especially the premium brands in the country, they saw very decent growth, amazing growth. But this will continue as a trend of ups and downs. The trend does not necessarily mean it will continue to go up. So it will continue to go up and down. But the future of retail, especially modern retail, I would say, is very bright in a country like India.
For all of us, that's extremely important.
Yes, I think connected commerce, so, your warehouse, your offline retail, your online retail, your metaverse, using your IoT devices on store to, capture certain information which you are not able to do right now, because when you're talking about predictive analysis, jab tak usko 10 saal ka data feed nahi karenge, how would he or she predict? So for me, yes, connected commerce is there, which should be the future. it'll make us future-proof for at least the next 5 years. Because of this unpredictability, we need to have those avenues available readily. We cannot wait for another COVID to happen to adapt a new technology.
Well, a lot has already been said, but I think one very big trend, in addition to what they've all said, is the influx of AI into fast fashion and to consumer choices, and how that will dramatically impact the way we design, the way we sell and market our products and communicate to our consumers. We were, until day before yesterday, thinking about how to start live chat support, and now you have ChatGPT 4 saying, I can do it for you. So the whole model changes upside down. And in fashion itself, AI is creating designs faster than designers can even conceive. And it's going to put a lot of designers and design houses out of business, starting with the US. And it's only a matter of time. I mean, we can't predict. 4 months back, it wasn't even there. And it's changing every day. So, but I think people here should look out for AI in fashion, AI in retail, and how it's going to completely change the universe for them by next year.
Interesting. Amit.
For cinema, I think the future is really bright. I mean, if we compare India with the Western world, I mean, in terms of the screen penetration, we are at the lowest. And there's a huge scope, for the growth in this industry. But we have to look at, there are few fundamental changes that we need to do. It has to be sustainable. I mean, India has seen the highest occupancy in the world. I mean, some of the market perform like 50%, 60% of the occupancies in the cinema, which may not be the new normal. So we need to find out the solutions wherein the cinema is sustainable at the lower occupancies as well. Otherwise, I don't see a challenge in this industry. I mean, we are underserved, and there's a lot of scope for the growth in the cinema industry.
So higher occupancy level, which is more global parity.
Yes, yes.
Sahil, your closing remarks.
Yeah. So, so one trend, I would say that, you got to be unique, stand out, and be adaptive to the change, because next 5 years is going to be full of change, and so as fast you can adapt to the change, I think that's how you can take the lead.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody. I think some really good thoughts, some really good takeaways. And I just feel, like what Sahil said, what Dhruv said, I just think disruption is something that we just need to keep making ourselves ready for, and, look forward to that. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you.